This is a quick introduction of the Mach One Racing DynoStation. Small little rundown of the features and components, what you would receive in the box, and just a general overview of how you would use it. First, this is a fully touchscreen enabled unit. It has two break-in track sections and then the full-fledged dyno itself. There's the touchscreen, the power button, and then here on the back here you see that there is an AC input and then a breaker as well, a resetting breaker, 10 amps, well within parameters to pop before your own house breaker pops, as long as everything is copacetic with your electrical. Every dyno does come with an 8-foot cable, and that's just it. It is fully self-powered. You don't have to hook it up to any kind of power supply. It has its own internal power supply. So now we'll go through right out of the box. I'm going to take my outlet, plug it in, and then you have your on switch. At the main screen, there's going to be two options. This is basically just a main menu. Break-in dyno correlates with the side of the dyno that you're on. Tap on the break-in. You can see here both rails are listed. You have volts reading, amp draw readings, a timer, place to set your volts, start button, pause button, stop button. On the top of the dyno, you'll notice that there is some tire holders, so for dummy axles, or if you have a rated axle that you want to use for all of your dyno tests, nice convenient place to store those. Rails on the dynos, they're as kind of what you would anticipate. These aren't necessarily like track rated rails, same rails, but the heights will vary, so there is no true setup. These are to just deliver power and to, on the dyno, provide a bit of downforce for the car so that there's no skipping or anything like that for magnet. So for the dyno itself, we have the most basic performance here would be your voltage set and millivolts. You'll notice that it's voltage and millivolts. It is separated. Being a touchscreen, anything that is pure white background is selectable and editable. Everything else with gray backgrounds are just displays. So let's go ahead. Rail 1, I will set the voltage. Just going to set it to 6 volts. The dyno itself will not go over 20 volts. It will not let you put in anything that it is not rated for. But the simple layout here, you'll see you selected rail 1 for the main voltage. You just, let's do 6, hit OK. See here it's displayed now. Let's say you wanted 6.5. You would punch in 50 millivolts for 6.5 volts. This is an intelligent system, so it is not just punching the whole 6.5 volts to the car at once. It will do a ramp up based on what voltage you selected. For example, 6.5 volts, you'll notice, let me zoom in here. If we hit play, there's initial unloading, and then it will ramp up to the 6.5 volts. And you see there, you get your readings of where the voltage is at, plus your amp draw. And that's it. I do suggest doing a dummy axle when breaking in vehicles or breaking in your cars. You can put into as many as you want that would fit on the rails for break-in, but I see really 2 is comfortable 3 would probably be pushing it a bit on each rail. While you are braking in, you can hit stop for the stop. The pause button is for the timer. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that. For the timer, if you select on the timer itself, you can set both your rail 1 and rail 2 timers, hours and minutes. If we set it for 1 hour, you just click on that, you set it for 1 hour, hit the set button, turns green, then you can go back, and now you see here it's displayed 1 hour. Now with both the break-in and the dyno is timed to be consistent. The timers do not start until the actual ramp up to the set voltage is met, and you'll see that demonstrated here. We hit start, it's ramping up, we're at 6.5 volts, and now the timer will start counting down. Of course, just like what a timer insinuates, once the timer hits 0, it will shut down that rail. If for some reason in the middle of your run you need to take the vehicle off but you don't want to reset your timer, if you hit the pause button, it will pause it, stop the rail, and pause your timer. Once you put your car back on, you want to go back to what you're doing, simply hit play, and it will ramp back up to where you had it, and the timer will continue on. Really good for overnights, or say you're at the track and you only wanted to break in something for a half hour or something like that, and you don't want to go over that, so on and so forth. When you hit the stop button, that does reset everything. It does reset the timer, turns off the track, so next time that you go through, it will just be like normal. No timer, just straight up to the voltage that you selected. Both rails interact the same exact way. You can set both rails, let's say 30 minutes, 25 minutes, set, come back, and then you see there. Now you can also, in the middle of your timing session, say, so we're going at 6.5 volts for an hour and 25 minutes. If I pause it, I can change the voltage. Say I want to go down to 5.5 seconds. I can do that as well. It'll just ramp up to 5.5 seconds or 5.5 volts, and the timer will start again. So, like I said, very versatile. Gives you some good timing, some good control over how much you're braking in your car. Okay, so now let's take a look at the dyno side. We click on dyno. You're going to have a few things here to kind of observe, get used to. One, average speed and max speed. You also get a voltage and amp draw readout, your overall dyno runtime, and the run voltage. Since there's so many different classes with so many different voltage requirements, you can do this at 12 volts, you can do it at 18, 19 volts, or if you don't want to stress your cars out, you can kind of set your own limitations there. That being said, you kind of want to do your dyno to what your track's going to be running the vehicle on. So if it's say super stock on a hopper proof, like rollings, everything like that, I usually run at 18.8 volts. Tracks will fluctuate in voltage anywhere from 18 to 19 volts, but 18.8 is usually across the board, or 18.5. So if you're just consistent with your voltage selection, you will have consistent results and can compare. Same thing with runtime. This is very heavy load on your car. You do not, it is limited to 60 seconds, but I do not suggest anything past maybe 20 seconds. The cars will heat up, the cars will feel the downforce and the overall tension. This is the same thing as you are on a mile-long stretch and you are just full throttle down that track. It is for extended periods of time. It can be detrimental to your car, so just pay in mind, be careful with that. 10 to 15 seconds is a good baseline to kind of go for. Average speed and max speed. Average speed after the ramp up, once it gets to the voltage requested, average speed will count your average revolutions during the 10 seconds or whatever runtime that you selected. So as it's at full speed, the closer it is to your max speed, the better, meaning that there's not a lot of fluctuation at that top speed or the top voltage requested. Means it's healthy, it's strong, there's no issues with your overall setup. No fluttering, I should say. Average speed will always be lower than max speed just because of the nature of the math. And this is a true RPM test. It is a sensor, it's a light sensor that is counting the revolutions per minute. So it is an actual wheel speed. You can correlate that to the different classes. You can compare and contrast each of your cars based on their speeds, and also with the same car, within tolerance, you can see whether or not your changes have improved or hindered your overall setup and the performance of your car. So I'll go ahead and do a quick run, and you can observe what's going on, and we'll kind of review it. Okay, so we're going to do a 10-second runtime, and on this vehicle itself, this is a Ghost Cat Super Stock. I do have a set of slip-ons on the vehicle itself. So one, it's just because I don't want to ruin sponge tires, and with all the testing I've been doing, slip-ons don't really wear out. So we put it to 10 seconds. Being super stock, it's going to be on an 18.8 volt track, and from there it's just as simple as pressing play. So depending on the vehicle or the type of car that you have, everybody's guide pins are a little different. I've just gotten into the habit of just holding the back of the chassis. It helps with just making sure after the run it doesn't pop back, it doesn't do anything weird. Being that there is rails, they do stay lined up pretty well. And if the vehicle is, or the slot car is right on top, when it does the shutdown, it can tend to fall backwards. If you've used the dyno in the past, like a VPR, or any other kind, you kind of understand what I'm talking about there. But there's just more peace of mind for myself. On dynos, there hasn't really been a foolproof way of getting every single guide pin distance proper and make it easy to use. So that's just my little tidbit. Just pushing it forward into the stop just works. You're not putting any force, you're just lightly keeping it up there. You'll notice during that run, max speed was 13.543. Average speeds was 13.0454. Quantitatively, those numbers mean nothing other than that car had those speeds. If I run the dyno one more time, should be relatively the same. The cars are very cold, so it might speed up a little bit, but quantitatively, that's my baseline. Run it about 2 or 3 more times at those intervals, and I can kind of get an average and an idea. I can then take that information and compare it to past performances. Say this car was really good at one track for a race. You throw it on this dyno and you get your baseline from after the race of like, okay, what was this car's performance? You notate that down. This is the whole point of having dynos. You notate that down, and then in the future, if you're racing at the same track or it's the same class on a different track, you can pull that car out and really determine like, okay, this car is not really handling on this track right. It doesn't feel as fast. Did the time do something? Did my practicing, did my setup change? You can put this back on the dyno, compare what you're currently running at the new race, and if the dyno says like this car is just as good as the last race, then you can kind of knock out that whole concept of, well, it's not necessarily my motor or my brushes. I don't have to rebuild my car. There's just something going on with my setup, whether that's the tire heights, the shoe spring tension, so on and so forth. My gears, maybe they got a little bit too worn out during practice, so on and so forth. So that's just kind of how I use a dyno and how I can kind of use it to my advantage going from track to track to help with my tuning and precision on making sure that I'm not over tuning, I'm not ruining anything that's already a good thing too. So one more time so you can kind of focus on the screen a little bit, but we're already set. I can just hit play one more time. We'll see the ramp up, and now the average speed starts to climb. And after 10 seconds, it shuts down. So you'll notice my max speeds went up and my average speeds went up. Car's kind of warmed up. It's kind of doing its thing. Go back in there one more time. Ramps up. And you can really hear it in the car as it gets to those top speeds. It's heard the requested voltages. It's starting to kind of loosen up, warm up, kind of getting going. All right, and now the dyno itself, you'll notice that the rollers are free rolling. There is no resistance to them, spaced properly, and they just go. There's nothing forcing any kind of slowdown on the actual roller themselves. The measuring mechanism is totally air gapped. There's nothing. It is 2 diodes, an LED, and a sensor that are being like it's a beam being broken, kind of like when you close your garage door and you run through the beams, and at the bottom you're breaking that beam, your garage door goes back up. Well, every time this wheel rotates, it's breaking that beam and it's counting. That's what's giving us those numbers. The overall unit is rated for 2.5 amps up to 20 volts, technically 20.9 volts. Kind of covers basically every kind of HO class out there right now. Drag cars might be a bit of a nuance there, but I have successfully dynoed Neos, compression molded, super stock, everything. So very, very reliable. And as a break-in station, you can do basically anything car-wise, just because you're not running a gear. They don't draw as much amperage. There is a safety built into it that one, the power supply will auto shut down and kill power and restart if you go over its theoretical max amp draw. So if that starts to happen, it's just as simple as turn it off and turn it back on, everything will reset. If from a software standpoint, if this doesn't go black and restart, it means that the software hit that limit as well. So meaning that it was in that sweet spot between the software limiting you and the power supply. The power supply is a little bit more rated than what the software is going to allow, so there is that little area, basically a catastrophic short between these. It would be quick enough that the power supply would respond and shut it down anyways. Shut it down and reboot. Holding and once it shuts down, the software shuts down, everything turns off, and it won't turn back on until you request it to turn back on through here or through the dyno. It's always in a state of off, so I can cross these at any time that when they're off, and there won't be any issues. Again, it's all self-sufficient in that manner, very safe, very easy to use, and nothing really to worry about there. The overall size, it is meant to replace your actual break-in, or not break-in, power supply that you take to the track every race. You don't need to bring your power supply anymore. Your power supply is here. Everything that you need to go throughout your day, break-in tracks, dynos, everything is self-contained. It does store quite nicely vertically, so in a deep box, or even in the top of a box, flat, and then rolling up your cable and setting it next to it. Yes, there is going to be a bit of space considerations to make, but realistically, depending on how you're already preparing at the track, at your state races, or anything like that, this should be easier to carry around. Other things to consider with the break-in station and the dyno and whatnot would be its overall durability. This product, the chassis is 3D printed. It has been tested and developed to withstand a lot, but that does not mean that it can be dropped or thrown or anything like that, or crushed. It can be crushed, but that's just, a disclaimer there. Like, if you do drop it and it cracked, and it lands on one of the corners, I would say that you would have some issues with the structural integrity of it. However, it should resist. Going back to the structural integrity, this is a older designed back plates where the power plug goes and everything like that. From, like I said, like a durability standpoint, like this, it will break, but when it's all put together, you're going to be all right. These things, and that broke at print seams and whatnot, you see there. So I would just say your sharp corners, your edges might get a little wonky if you do drop it on its edge or anything like that. But overall, very durable. I don't see any issues with anybody really destroying any of these. So the material used is quite flexible, and can have some really good resistance to any kind of damage once it's put fully together. You will notice all of these panels are replaceable, so even if there is any damage, accidental damage. It can be repaired. That is another big part of how I designed this. Fully repairable. Everything in here is accessible. There's some custom things in here, but everything is repairable. Everything can be changed out, so on and so forth. If something on the top happens, you can get a new top plate. If the screen goes bad, breaks, if for some reason you're able to rip that out of here, which, trust me, that's very that's very hard to do. I've had to remove some of these plugs before, and my goodness, just the way that this is designed and how these are designed, they're very hard to get out. But if anything happens, you are able to get it repaired. On those lines, these do come with a 1-year manufacturer warranty on them for any kind of manufacturer defects. There is a authentication sticker here. This is my warranty sticker. This is your warranty sticker. As long as this is not tampered with, you'll notice that there is 2 holes below there. That's 2 of the screws, 2 of the main screws to get this thing apart. You will be covered under a 1-year manufacturer defect warranty, as long as this is intact and you have not entered the dyno in any way, shape, or form. If you have any kind of accidental damage to the device and you do need repair, repair services will be available as well. Reasonable. Pay for shipping, pay for handling, and give you a reasonable estimate for what's going on. That being said, I hope that doesn't come to that for any of you guys, but that's kind of where we're at with that. There are more details online. You'll be able to see further details and instructions online as far as how to purchase and what is covered underneath the warranties and how to claim warranty and how to get repair services. Yeah. For the first edition, I'm going to call these first editions, first version of the DynoStation. This is only phase 1. I have a bunch of ideas and kind of to align with how I want to grow this platform. The DynoStation is the main part. I do have future plans to look at maybe splitting them into 2, or you can have a dyno separate from the power strip or break-in tracks, or possibly having 1 break-in track versus 2, maybe a different shape, different form factor. Right now, this current form factor made the most sense. It houses all the electronics. I do want it to eventually turn into something that could be much smaller, but kind of with what this type of device is, I think this is a pretty fair compromise for what it is. Also, I would like to see these being more powerful. Kind of like I said, I would like to have it to be able to replace the entire power supply that you take with you to the track. Also, from a track side benchtop at the home, you don't have a track, a station right there in your pit. Quite honestly, with kind of what this is, maybe you don't want to take it to the track. It would be nice if track owners would have one that they can have available for their patrons to use. But yeah, I have other plans, and with feedback from the community, and there was a lot of feedback on this one as far as its initial design and kind of where the programming has taken me. And there are future versions that could possibly have dyno storage for your runs, an app, Bluetooth, being able to get updates, being able to customize it to fit kind of where you're at with how you race and what you're competitive in. And but those are definitely pipe dreams for now. The hardware that's in there can support it. Most of the hardware that's in there can support that kind of thing, but it's just a matter of R&D and development, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of resources, and we're just not there yet. But this is going to be giving an insight into what's to come, and this is the first stepping stone into helping the racing community with resources and tools to further make this hobby a great joy for everybody. So thanks.